On his second day since returning before the Zondo Commission, yet another bombshell. Former COO of BOSASA, Angelo Agrizzi, has implicated National Assembly Chairperson and senior ANC MP Cedric Frolick.
Agrizzi revealed that Frolick received bribes around 2010 and 2011 to ensure that then Parliament's Correctional Services Chairperson Vincent Smith was sympathetic towards BOSASA. This, at the time, Smith held an anti-BOSASA perspective, and Watson believed that Frolick had a good relationship with him.
Frolick came back with Mr. Vincent Smith. He was with him, and he was very abrupt.
Oh, so when Mr. Vincent Smith came into that office, he was with Mr. Frolick?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then at the lunch, I mean, I didn't want to embarrass Mr. Frolick by saying, this meeting didn't happen, didn't go very well. We've just wasted 25,000 Rand on traveling, and, we've wasted our time and your time. And he said, no, don't worry, this is how politicians are. Said, but at least we're starting to break the ice.
But I'm not sure whether with that very brief encounter and the attitude of Mr. Smith that ice had been broken.
I was worried because I had to go back and report to Mr. Watson what had happened. I'd have to phone him as soon as I'd left the office. And I said to Gibson and Ginger, I said, I don't know if I can tell Gavin that this was a good meeting, because everybody when they have meetings will say, no, it was a brilliant meeting. I said, no, this wasn't a very good meeting,
That was Angelo Agrizzi testifying a little bit earlier on at the state capture inquiry. He was the former CEO, of course, of BOSASA. For a little bit more about the revelations that came through, let's join our senior reporter, Mwandile Mbeje, who's been at the Commission this week. Mzwai, thanks very much for joining us. And I suppose that every time Angelo Agrizzi takes to the stand, we almost expect name-dropping.
Well, it was not different, Peter. On what I would say is day 11. I know that you said earlier it's day 2 because you are only counting from yesterday and today. But remember that in January, Peter, he was on the very same witness stand, and then he lasted for 9 days. And this time around, he lasted for 2 days. So you can see that this is a man who has a lot to say. Perhaps towards his conclusion, the legal team of the Commission, led by Advocate Paul Pretorius, asked him about what he said yesterday, particularly relating to the top 6. You'd remember that he said, Peter, yesterday that he is aware of the donation of 10 to 12 million Rand that was given to the top 6. And I think Advocate Pretorius used this opportunity really to seek more clarity as to what actually is this donation, who was it for? Was it for individuals, or was it for the party? What Agrizzi basically said, Peter, was that as far as he knows is that there was a meeting that they had where they discussed that they needed to give this donation to the ANC, but it was going to be received by a structure which is called the top 6. I mean, he says he did not even know what the top 6 is, but he does appear to clarify that this donation that was received by the top 6 was the donation intended for the organization at the ANC. And also, the judge chipping in there, Peter, finding out exactly when could this have happened. And as much as he didn't remember well, but he said it was anything between 2004, 2005. So you can see that the relations really, or the working together, whatever you call it, between the ANC and BOSASA date quite a long time. So that's one of the things really that Agrizzi said here today.
All right, so I suppose the ball is now in the court of the ANC. They've vindicated that they want to cross-examine him. Would his clearing up today change that a little bit, do you think?
Well, maybe this particular aspect, Peter, But remember, Agrizzi has been saying they have been doing a lot of things for the ANC. I mean, he was even saying yesterday the number of T-shirts, caps, memorabilia of the ANC that he has. I mean, it's so many, so he can't even be able to wear or use all of them. So, which basically means that the kind of relations that they've built over time between the ANC and BOSASA dates quite a long time. So he was talking about the BOSASA funding activities relating to Siyanqoba, talking about BOSASA setting up a nerve center really to run the elections for the ANC. In fact, going also as far as saying, you remember there was a time, Peter, when Parliament, given the economic conditions of the country, basically said, you know, after the State of the Nation address by the President, there'll be no after what do we call it, the after our parties, because there was no money for that. Agrizzi was basically saying, well, I just looked at the President saying there will be no dinner, there will be no party after the State of the Nation address, because I knew that as BOSASA, we were going to foot the bill for the activities that will take place at a restaurant called Cubana. He says they were very costly because those restaurants are quite expensive and they cater for a large number of people. But of course, BOSASA needed to take the tab for that. So those are the kinds, Peter, of relations that the ANC and BOSASA Agrizzi says they had. So given all these things, and of course implicating a number of other senior officials of the ANC, and not only senior officials, and some of the officials really that are being mentioned here, they may not be known by the members of the public, but many of them belong to the ANC. And I think that's the reason perhaps why the ANC would actually want the opportunity to then cross-examine him on a number of issues. And I assume, Peter, that even individuals themselves, he has just spoken about Mantashe, the chair of the ANC now. You remember that after the revelations, Mr. Mantashe had said some of those security installations at his properties, I mean, did not amount to the kind of money that we were told. But Agrizzi basically saying, you know what? He knows this because everything was funded from BOSASA account, and they amounted to something like 600,000. And it's not only that, Peter. He basically says, so all the security installations that were done at the politicians' homes and houses, so were paid for by BOSASA. So I think the ANC would want to perhaps put some of these questions to Agrizzi where it feels it has a case. But yeah, as I had said earlier, the issue again of Dudu Myeni. Remember, Agrizzi had said Dudu Myeni was the person through whom they arranged that 300,000 rand that apparently was meant for the Jacob Zuma Foundation. And then Dudu Myeni basically coming out to say, I mean, she had only been to BOSASA once, or at an official capacity. I mean, Agrizzi coming out to say no. As far as he can remember, Dudu Myeni has been there about 4 times, and there is also an instance where Agrizzi had left the employee of BOSASA where they met on the plane to Durban. So those are all things, some of the individuals being directly implicated, but by and large in the name of the party. And you know, the party, Peter, has been trying to say it's not on trial here, but given what someone like Agrizzi is saying, you really would think twice about their assertion that they are not on trial.
All right, Mzwai, very briefly, last person that was mentioned today, Cedric Frolick. I would imagine that some kind of reaction needs to come from him in his individual capacity, whether he's going to want to cross-examine or offer a version. Well, given what Angelo Agrizzi said today about Cedric Frolick, and I think if he feels that his rights are being violated, if he feels his name is being tarnished, he will really want the opportunity to come and clear all that here at the Commission.
I mean, to be told, rather to be accused, if let's say you are you have not done something, of receiving 40,000 rand every month. And I think Peter, being a public representative, respected at that, I'm sure in due course he will issue a response and possibly seek the right to cross-examine Mr. Angelo Agrizzi.
All right, Mzwai, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thanks very much indeed for that update. That's senior reporter Mwandile Mbeje reporting live from the State Capture Commission of Inquiry that's been sitting in Parktown, which is in the centre of Johannesburg.